All right, so I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Holyoke Redevelopment Authority on August 13th at 5 o'clock to order pursuant to Mass General Open Meeting Law, GLC 30A, and Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023. Notice was given that this would be a regular meeting. It's being held remotely only according to the provisions of the executive order extended by Governor Healy on March 29th, 2023. People were given a link to join with the meeting notice. This is being recorded. Matters listed on the agenda are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items may be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. Can I get a roll call, please?
Daphne Board,
Yes.
Jorge Colon,
Yes.
Thomas Creed,
Yes.
Carl Eager, Carl. Oh, are you muted?
No.
Okay.
I'm not sure if if his sound is on.
We can't hear you, Carl.
That's strange. I can see him talking.
Mm-hmm.
Try again. Oh, come on. Nope. Nope. Can't hear you. Why is that? What?
No, he's unmuted. It's got to be a connection on that side.
Well, we can visually see that he is here and has said here.
Yes.
So,
Thank you. Patrick Beaudry?
Yes.
Perfect.
Great. Okay, so we're all here. The only thing we have really on our agenda is a request from Jackson Canal for a loan subordination, and we have Lee Vardakis from Jackson Canal, and I think we also have Attorney Mantaleski from the city here with us. So I'll just turn the floor over to you, Lee.
Sure.
And thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for getting this meeting accomplished on short notice. I do appreciate it. I am trying to close on a note with Florence Bank, and one of the requirements is this intercreditor agreement and a subordination agreement. So we do appreciate it. I know we've signed these in the past for previous financing on these properties, and so as a result, I'm doing some new financing on the property, and I need these agreements signed. So a little background for those of you who may or may not know the property at Jackson Street. We have an existing building built in 1980, which sits on Jackson Street at 55 Jackson. It's about approximately a 20,000 square foot building, metal fab construction. And then behind it, we have at 59 Jackson, we have a 35,000 square foot industrial building that houses Aegis Energy Services. And behind that, we have a solar field that sits on Sargent Street. That's the total parcel. What we're talking about today is that I have a new tenant that's perfect. Thank you for doing that. So that's the building we're talking about today is the one that sits right on the street here at 55 Jackson Street. And although it says Aegis, we have a new tenant starting January 1st, 2024. Their name is Encore Fire Protection. And Encore Fire Protection has signed a 68-month lease with me with 2 renewals of 3 years each. So I've got a long-term lease with Encore Fire Protection. They are a roll-up of all smaller individual fire protection companies in Western Massachusetts and the Northeast. So companies like Hampshire Fire Protection is now called Encore Fire Protection. So they've basically purchased several different fire protection companies and consolidated them. So there'll be a long-term tenant of mine. As part of the lease arrangement, I have they spent about $800,000 on renovating the interior of the building. I was also provided tenant improvement money in the around $350,000. And so part of the reason for my financing is to cover my $350,000 that I contributed to the building. And so that's why today I'm asking if you would consider the intercreditor and subordination agreements so that I can close and get some financing, additional financing for the property and cover what I contributed to the property. And that's my story. Any questions?
Madam Chair, if I can just add one little additional thing, and I know Carl and Tom probably know this more than myself as well, but there was a significant deal back in the day involving HRA, involving Lee. We got Parsons Hall, and that's what they were able to Parsons Building, sorry, and redo that after the fire. And so a lot of interesting financing happened, and everything worked out great. As you've all been briefed, Lee has been on time with all the payments for the loan through HRA. Just the other day, the August payment came in, so totally up to date on that. There's just barely over 80,000 left on that loan. So again, this subordination really, especially at this point, he's been on time for every payment. And again, there's only like 80,000, just over $80,000 left. So there's not a lot at stake, I would say, financially for HRA in this situation. And as was mentioned, we have signed a subordination previously in the past. So this is, but again, a new loan, new note, so a new subordination was needed.
Just because I haven't been around, what do you have the details on the previous subordination and like what that was and
I can speak to that.
Great,
So
thanks.
this is Jane Mantelewski with the City Solicitor's Office. So they, Mr. Vardakis's company, Jackson Canal, had previously obtained a mortgage from Florence Bank, which is going to be the mortgage holder for this, also the second mortgage. But the first one was $325,000. And the HRA agreed to subordinate its loan, which is in the $80,000 mark, to that first loan from Florence Bank. And now this second loan request, I believe Mr. Vardakis said it, but I just want to make sure. It's $500,000 still with Florence Bank, so same lender. I did have a chance to review the subordination as well as the subordination and intercreditor agreement, and we had a few things removed that were just that the city couldn't agree to, but other than that, it was pretty standard. And I believe you should have a final form in front of you or in Aaron's possession for you to look at if you needed to. But we had already, the HRA had already signed a very similar subordination back when the original $325,000 was taken out from Florence Bank a few years ago.
Great, thank you.
You're beating me to it, Aaron.
All of your favorite legalese language in those documents. So.
Does anyone have questions or comments from the board?
Just a couple. So I'm assuming that the form that you just showed us, Aaron, and thank you for thinking that I could read that fast. I'm assuming that it's the same form and same content as the previous subordinations we've signed, Jane.
Yes, I believe so. Minus the two, there was, I think, two provisions that I took, or three provisions I took out of it. Just though, making sure that HRA is still protected with respect to its rights against the collateral. That if it wants to or needs to, or Ms. Vardakis asks and the HRA is agreeable, that we could make additional loans if needed. And then I believe there was an indemnity provision too that the city can't agree to under the Mass Constitution. So those are the three provisions really I took out, all to the HRA's benefit. But everything else was very standard and if not identical, substantially similar.
Okay. So am I right in thinking that we're now subordinate to two mortgages or just one?
The two. So the first one is the one that we're already, or the HRA is already subordinated to, is the $325,000 one. And then the second one will be a $500,000 one. So I don't know what Mr. Vardakis's payoff is on the first note. But if he, I'm not sure what he owes on that, but there's going to probably be slightly less, at least to 325,000, and then the 500,000. So we'll be subordinated to both of those.
And Lee, first of all, thanks for being on the call and taking us through the request, and certainly thank you for everything you've done on the property. Both Carl and I remember this as being one of the first things the HRA entered into. So thanks for the effort around that. Is there a current valuation on the property?
There is. 55 Jackson was just valued as part of this note agreement, was valued at $1.6 million.
Okay.
That was the appraisal done by an independent appraiser.
And either Jane or Aaron, what's the term of our mortgage? When is it up? When is it paid in full?
I don't have the exact time frame, but I believe it's going to be in another 2 years. Based on,
I was going to say I don't have an exact time frame either. I don't actually have our note in front of me, but there had been previous discussion last week about potentially paying that off as well, sooner rather than later. So yeah, I don't have that one in front of us, but I have every reason to believe that Mr. Vardakis is probably somewhat accurate with his the remaining term.
I pay a little over $3,000 a month, and so that would come out to somewhere around 2+ years based on the remaining balance.
And your business is still operating in the front building?
So in the larger building, the Aegis Energy building, they're still operating there. I'm no longer affiliated with Aegis Energy. I sold that business, but yes. So they're still operating in the larger building, but at 59 Jackson.
Okay. Thanks, Daphne. Those are the only questions I had.
Great. Aaron, did we have a question from Carl?
No, he's on the motion from Carl. If yeah. We're ready.
I did see that hand gesture.
Even we can't hear him, we can hear him.
Does anyone else have questions or comments?
No, I'm good.
So I would entertain a motion to approve this subordination agreement. And if Carl raises his hand again, that could be a second.
I'll make the motion.
Can I get a roll call, please?
Patrick Beaudry,
Yes.
Carl Eager,
Yeah.
Thomas Creed,
Yes.
Jorge Colon,
Yes.
Daphne Board.
Yes. So thank you for approving the subordination agreement. I look forward to signing it sometime in the very near future.
So
Thanks.
So on that note, actually, since we got everybody, so either Carl is actually either voting or giving us the English middle finger, so we're good. The is there a way for us to get together tomorrow? I know that Lee's trying to move this, so I know there's Jennifer is a notary, so we can notarize it. I know on one of the forms there's a notary required, and I think Daphne's signature is required. And Jane, I don't know if there's another city signature required. But we can do
Nope,
it
it would just be the chair
just to chair.
of the HRA. Yep.
Yeah, I'm available, so.
Okay,
Good.
all right, so
you.
we'll do an email, we'll get this signed in the morning sometime, Daphne, and then
Yeah, that sounds great.
Lee.
They're gonna send a courier up to pick up the wet signature from you, Aaron. So just, I'm gonna give you a phone number for you to call and they'll send a courier up to get it and bring it down, okay?
Okay, yep, email me that and we'll get it to, we'll plan for like, we'll do it we'll be done by noon, so we'll plan for that.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay,
Appreciate your efforts and I appreciate you pulling this meeting together so quickly.
thanks,
Well, then, welcome.
yeah.
City government,
Thanks for the
man.
members, for sure, yeah.
Speed of light.
Yeah, you can do it. Government can work fast when there's good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
happening, so,
Yes, agreed.
all right, thanks, Lee. So,
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Right.
Have a good one.
So we are gonna have our regular meeting next week? Is that our next regular meeting?
No,
no?
I don't think so at this point. So, I just as a general update, I would say that there's nothing pressing. I will let people know, just again, as a general update, the Holyoke Housing Authority is in front of the planning board tonight for phase 3. So they've already got other approvals for phase 2. That's moving forward. I think they're in front of the planning board tonight for the larger building and the other lots, the lots that we aggregated from them from Holyoke Machine. So that's good news. And I will just say that we are still working towards getting some brownfield support and get into some properties of interest on High Street. But again, there's nothing to fully report for next week. So there's a couple of vacations happening next week as well. So I think we will plan to meet in September at the regular time unless anything else comes up out of the blue. But I think at this point, given Jennifer and I the time to focus on the brownfield stuff and properties of interest on High Street, we'll have something more to report, we think, and we know in September.
Great.
Perfect.
And we're waiting to hear back from Mass Development about the one-stop applications, as is Wind Development. So no update there. And I would also say, Wind Development, we continue to meet with them. We did take a week off. They're really in a holding. Construction is going well. People have been down there. The supports are off. The front roof is on, so that's good progress. And they're really in a holding pattern, waiting for the federal historic to bifurcate the project. So that's before we can deal with buildings 1 and 2 or deal with anything else. So they have applied for historic tax credits for phase 2. But again, that phase 2 is not yet recognized federally. But they are still moving forward on the tax credit applications. I just signed paperwork for that last week. And all things seem to be going forward there.
Right.
Okay.
I think, to speed this along, we can entertain a motion to.
Okay.
So moved.
All right, and Carl's
good.
got the second there.
Yeah.
Can I get a roll call?
Daphne Board,
Yes.
Jorge Colon,
Yes.
Thomas Creed,
Yes.
Carl Eager,
All right.
Patrick Beaudry.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Short notice. Thank you. And so
Thank
Daphne,
you.
we'll do an email and get you over here in the
Yeah.
morning time. Okay.
Great. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Have a
you.
good one.
See you.